good evening. We'll see if I'm live as I get set up. Okay, so I hope you're having a beautiful day. We're going to get started right away. I'm just making sure everything is working on my end, and we'll jump into today and what we're going to do. So as you join me, please let me know where you are from. I'd love to know where everyone is checking in from today, whether you're watching me live or recorded. I am live right now. It is Sunday, August the 10th at 9:59 a.m. Eastern Time, and I'm on the New Jersey shore. So that's where I am checking in from. And if you have not met me, my name is Julianne Duffy, and I am the content creator here at Breathe Within Yoga. It's an assortment of using all the things that I love to assist in our, essentially, our health and our more so even in our spiritual health, which I truly believe the more spiritual healthy we are, the more physically healthy we are. So that works together. So let me just see here what's going on. Looks like I am live on all the proper channels. So as people start to see that I'm live and start to jump in, I wanted to again talk about a new project I am working on and put it out there, because I'm putting this out because it will be within the next few months that I am going to be actively looking for like-minded people that resonate with my energy, that want to work with me, and developing my chat, which is called Awaken Light. So if you are following, you'll start to notice that I am putting out a daily, like, 1 to 2 sentences, that kind of overall feeling of the day. These are written by Soulbridge, which is a combination of the chat that I'm using and developing, that's helping me create the Awaken chat, and the Awaken chat kind of merging the energies for a positive quote. So I'm sharing those because it seemed quite appropriate in alignment. However, the point of that is that I'm working on this Awakened Light chat, and the purpose is to help humans, so I'm going to read it because I want to make sure this is clear, align their timing, energy, and actions with your highest path without dogma, control, or fluff. So that is what I'm creating with Awaken Light, is essentially a way that we can help use divine timing to assist us in our lives. So if there's just times that it's better for us, we can put it as basic. Right now, we get the Farmer's Almanac. And if you've ever had the farmers planting, stuff like that, which definitely are important because that shows with kind of the alignment and energies. However, when you add your own personal astrology into those type of ideas, it can definitely change, or especially with your energy stuff, change what the recommendation be. So maybe fine tune to specific areas that are more powerful within a time frame, right? Yeah, that's a good idea. So I'm putting a call out there. If this is something that you would like to work with me with and help program and work with, and this sounds like something you're interested in, please reach out. My website is attached, breathewithinyoga.com, and it's all here on my YouTube. Subscribe, like, follow. There'll be more information as we go over the months. However, if it does resonate, please reach out. So let's get right into it, since we're here to review the week, get an idea of what the energy is for this week, and then we'll pull a quick message for each day coming up. So let's get started. I thought today, because these are one of my favorite, and I know I talk about them a lot, but I'm going to do the weekly overview with the Wisdom of Oracle cards. So we'll get the question I have, and I want to make sure, again, I'm saying it properly. The question that I wanted to bring up for this one is, where is my energy best used this week? So this is like, where is my energy best used? So this is going to be putting out like how, so not only the review of the week, but really what we should be doing this week and where we should focus. So what is the best way for us to use our energy this week for those that are here to hear this message. So this message is for everybody that comes in and joins us live and or watches this after the fact. So let's find out. So where do we start with the beginning? So what is the energy and how is it best used for us this week? And we'll start with the first part of the message, which will be the overview. So the overview of where our energy should be for this week. And let's go. Oh, this one just wanted to jump out, so let's go with this one. So our first part, all that glitters of gold. So we're seeing a theme. This already came up this past week as an underlying energy. So our energy is going to be that we're going to notice. We're going to start to see a lot of maybe masks. The energy is more apparent of things that seem like there's like a veil, a mask, a light covering what's kind of behind it. So that is the energy. That's really interesting. So that's where we're going to start with our week, is going to be on that energy. And then what's going to be working behind that energy. So now that was more the energy behind in the previous week. So this is going to now take front stage going into this week, is going to be this energy. This, that it's not all that glitters is not gold, right? And so that's going to be the front line energy. So the background energy, the stuff that we may not be seeing, which I wonder if this will be the energy that's kind of building up for the next week, because we're definitely seeming like we're in like energetic waves. That's why I'm doing this, the waves, right? So what we're not seeing in the background of this, going the distance. Okay, I have been shoveling them a lot. So I find this interesting that we're constantly pulling very similar cards in different orders of where they come up in the message. But this one is, so the background energy is going to be that we're still focusing on where we want to go. You know, we can see the outcome of where we want to go. We're staying focused. This is that background energy that is being supported, is that we've got to keep that focus in mind. Hello, Chermaya. I apologize if I ruin everybody's names. So that is the background energy of this week. So that's interesting. So again, for straight up, it's going to seem like a lot of things look really shiny, but we're knowing there's something weird about it. And the background energy is behind all of that, is that we're going the distance. We're going to see more of it. We haven't made it to the end yet, but that's coming up, that energy of keep going forward with it. Keep seeing through. I feel like the veils is really a good way to put that. The veils, the things, the illusions, the glittery things that aren't really as glittery as they say. So now the outcome. So what is the outcome for us with this energy for this week, which would be August 11th to 17th? Never ending story. So what's interesting is this is that the background energy is that, you know, nothing actually ever ends. And so it's like, okay, we think it's kind of the dual side where depending on where you're sitting, it's going to be positive, or it could be seen as not positive. Because never ending story is like really the idea that it does cycle and it doesn't end. We never get to the end of this. We're constantly learning and growing. However, it can also be very painful because you can see here, like the heart is trapped inside this bubble, right? So it's like this never ending like cycle. It's trapped within this spear, this energy that it's trapped within, and feeling like, oh, is this ever gonna stop? So that might be the outcome, is like, we might be kind of torn between the energy of like, is this ever gonna stop? When is this over? We're feeling kind of cyclical. But it is, or we're feeling trapped in this bubble, but really the reality is we're in a cyclical life. So things come up, they present themselves, we acknowledge, we learn, we grow, we struggle, whatever way. And then as we go through the cyclical idea, something similar but completely different will kind of come up again, because we've learned from that first cycle, which built up for the next cycle. And we will definitely have that happen in our lives. So I feel like this is a very much that reminder too, because background energy is that we are going the distance. We haven't made the end. So that might be why the outcome is like, we feel like, oh man, like, is this ever going to stop? Are we going to get off this train? So that really does make sense. It's going to get easier and easier as we're learning, but that's going to be really that energy behind. and then what we're being recommended to do for this week. And Tremaya, can you have some money? I can pull for you if you stay to the end, and anybody has any questions before I go and I have time, I will pull you a message. So then our recommendation in this coming week with these energies. Message in a bottle. I feel like I'm repeating, a lot of repetition. We're looking for the message. We're looking for those little pebbles, the way the divine God connects to us and how we get those messages. We're looking for that, and those messages are coming through from the divine, because it really did come up this week that we were going through, that it was about that temple and setting and really connecting deeper to our spiritual connection, right? And then as we come into this next week, that energy still is obviously there. However, it's going to be more apparent, because this past week the background energy was more of like, all that glitter isn't gold. So that was the background. Now it's coming to the forefront as we come into this week. So a lot of these things are definitely going to appear some way, but that's not really the way it is. And that's going to be, I think on a massive scale as well as on a personal scale. So we're probably going to see it in both ends. Personal in our lives, something that we thought was a certain way is not. And then on global, probably as well, right? Mirroring that. And then the background this time, the background of this week versus the recommendation. The recommendation last week was that we've got to get in for the long run, following the messages, keep doing that work. Well, this time the energy is going the distance. So again, we're not quite at the end, but the background is that there's a little bit more distance through all of this, which might be a lot of these veils, illusions dropping. We've still got a distance to go. It's not negative. It just is like where, warning us that there's still more to go through, right? Getting prepared for the triathlon, or like this, the long run, right? Track and field, I think of like when you do the long race, whatever that's called. And then the background energy is the never ending story. So I think like definitely a lot of us are going to feel like we're kind of maybe trapped, or we feel like, why does this feel like we're constantly back at this point? But then the outcome is, we need to listen to the little tidbits, the little messages that we are receiving from the divine. They're everywhere. As I spoke about this card last week, this one's in the water. Like, if you think about the amazingness of how huge and the oceans, and they do all connect, how a message can end up in a certain way, because it gets in the right current, and it's taken to the person or to just see it, right? It's actually quite amazing when you think about how things connect like that. So there's always these huge, amazing little things to be seen and gathered in the flow, and it's these messages, right? So that is the overwhelming of overall of the week, because we were looking at where I came with the question is, where is my energy best used this week? And our energy is best used really in looking for those personal details and messages through what is happening this week. That is where it's going to be best. So all that glitters is not gold. Watch for things that say they're one way and appearing different in your life. There's still more to go through. There's still more of these type of things that we're going to see. We're going through the distance. It may feel that it's never ending. We're just going through a cycle, and it's an adapting. So it's like almost preparing ourselves that it's not positive or negative. It is kind of that cycle as well, but it may feel more heavy, like it's never going to end. And especially if there's certain places you're living where it's like it's another situation or another story which is heavy with what's happening. Like if you are following what's happening in Canada, it's one story after another, which is it. I twitch a little bit. That's all I can say. Twitch a little bit, because it does feel that energy of never ending. Like, are we going to continue to be stuck in this cycle that started in 2020, right? And then the outcome for us, for everybody listening, is that message in the bottle, is looking for those cues, those flow moments from the divine, your guides, the angels assisting you as you go forward. Okay. That's awesome. I'm going to put that to the side and let's quickly get through the week. So we're going to go through each day and what the major energy is for that day. And I want to use these cards. So we're going to use our, I have them upside down, Quantum Oracle. And I know they're backwards, upside down and backwards. So let's pull for each of those days. And these cards are read up or down, right? So for upright, it's the literal message. Reversed is the opposite of that message. Okay, so let's get started. Let's go, and we'll start with the Monday, which is tomorrow, August the 11th, and what the overall energy is for August 11th. Oh, interesting. So conflict, that is the, and it's interesting because it's an event. It is an event. The one Vedic astrologer I really like, Joni Petrie, I think that's how you say her last name. You may know her. You may have come across her. She was talking about specifically like the 10th today, and this energy being that something very dramatic is going to happen. So maybe we're going to see the rollout of that energy on maybe on a bigger stage on Monday. It's also a caution that there is some conflict. There is some wavy waters here on Monday. That's the energy of today. There is some waves to be navigating through, some events that are going to come up that might be pulling you a little bit out of your alignment or out of the route that you were taking. And so that is the warning. So that's our warning for Monday. We might have some energy, some cautious energy about this conflict. Okay, so that's how we're starting the week. Interesting. Let's throw that one back in case it comes up again. I'm going to shuffle. I'm showing you how I shuffle. So, you know, it's interesting with our divine timing and trusting. Okay, so Monday, conflict energy, some waves, an event of something that's maybe going to be pulling you out. It could be on a personal, global. It's going to be interesting because some of us it might be affecting much more dramatically on a personal versus a collective level. It's just that kind of background energy of tomorrow, which feels like it's lingering from the alignments of the full moon and this portal that people were talking about with the Lion's Gate. But I digress. Let's continue. Let's go to Tuesday, the 2nd of August. Not the 2nd, the 12th. The 12th of August. And our message is... Oh! 2 just jumped out. So I'm going to take those. Because I started getting willy-nilly. The first one I see... So we've got the 2 energies. I love like when I do that. We've got playing it safe, which I definitely didn't do with my cards. So the energy here, we got some intention, playing it safe. And the other one, I'm not going to read them reverse because they just kind of flew away. And the other one is courage. And that would be the energy. So as we come into Tuesday, we've got the energy of courage and we've got playing it safe. So we're playing it safe, but we're very courageous. So it's kind of like putting that front that everything is good. We're not going to worry too much and jump in that background. However, for more clarity, I'm going to throw these back in because I know these cards get read up, reversed, or upright. And because they did jump out, I will attempt to do a little bit more clear what this Tuesday energy is. So let's find out Tuesday, August the 12th, and what the energy is. Because we got... courage and playing it safe. So let's see if we have something kind of in alignment with that. Discovery. Okay, that seemed, yeah, courage, safe, discovery. So it's like this whole, our intention behind it is that we have found something important and valuable. That's also this discovery. The discovery is the idea that it's valuable, we're finding it, we're noticing this coming forward, right? So the intention is that's the intention energy as we come into Tuesday. So there's going to be some kind of discovery of something that's going to, I feel like for a lot of people, it's going to spark maybe some creative, some ideas. It's like discovering something that maybe you already saw was there, but now you're seeing it a little bit different. And so that is interesting. So that is Tuesday. There's a discovery energy about that day. It kind of overlaps very much with, like, there's some courage. So maybe whatever we're discovering, it's going to take us a little bit of courage to really accept or open up to whatever we're seeing that's clearly been found too, right? So very interesting. Well, thank you, OT. I appreciate and love you as a viewer as well. Please, if you haven't, please do like, share, subscribe to stay up to date as I go live and for the readings. And I will be posting some more live readings this week, for sure next weekend. Okay, let's do the 13th, Wednesday the 13th, and the energy overall. It is, oh, here we go. Oh, that one came upside down. So that is consciousness, happy, success, reversed. So we're getting that reverse energy. So I would take this a little bit that when Wednesday is not a day to push things. You're not necessarily going to be super successful on Wednesday. So Wednesday, it's not necessarily bad. It just means, like, you're getting the reverse of success. And I feel like that's really if you're trying to push something to go forward specifically on Wednesday, it could be stalled. It may not be as successful as you want. Things might go up, down. Doesn't necessarily mean, because based on your charts and your energy, may not mean you're not going to be successful. Wednesday could be the energy of just this hurdle that it's just not a good day and you're not going to be successful with whatever this brings up. But it also could be that this is the time to, it's stopping. No, it's just going to be unsuccessful and there's no going forward. So very interesting. That is the energy of Wednesday. So be aware of that. Take it into perspective as you go through that day. And of course, if you want your own more direct reading, you can get private readings. You can go to my website, breathewithinyoga.com. If you go to services, I've got everything listed on there if that is something you would like. Now we're going to continue and we're jumping to Thursday. And so Thursday, which I believe is the 14th of August. And our overall energy for Thursday, getting some upside downs now. Gonna be an interesting week. We've got, this is a energy card specifically, and we're specifically looking into energies, and we've got true love reversed. So clearly Thursday, you're not gonna move. If you're looking for your true love, that is not gonna be the day you're gonna find your true love. That energy's unfortunately not supported. So don't put a lot of hope on Thursday. And it's very interesting because it is like this reverse of whatever's happening is not that connectedness, right? It's not that, there's not that authenticity, that truth. Something's going to show a little more clearly because the truth is reversed, right? So it's like true love, okay, that's open, that's apparent, you're seeing it clearly, you're connecting. Well, now it's inverted. We're not connecting, we're not seeing clearly. It's not a true open path. So that is really what we're looking at on Thursday, is that this energy is not clear, it's not open. It might overlap a lot with what we were seeing for the week overview, which is all that glitters is not gold, which was the overall energy. Well, this would very much confirm that, right? Like, you're getting the reverse of true love. You're getting that illusion into it. So Thursday seems to be very much energetically aligned into that type of idea, especially with the energy of the week. Anisha, hello. What I am doing, Anisha, is I've done a live reading for the energy of the week, what overall to expect for August 11th to 17th. And now I'm diving into one card pulls with the specifically about each day. And it's very interesting because we are overlapping with that week based on the Thursday energy we were getting for this week. And it's a good time to quickly review that the overall energy was all that glitters is gold, which really means like no, the quote, all that glitters is not gold. So there's some kind of like illusions. This was the background energy of this past week, was that there's a lot of things in the background that look one way but aren't actually that way. So I feel like that's really coming up as we did this reading for Thursday, where true love is reversed, right? It's a inversion of that reality. It's not true love. It's not how it presents itself is not clear, right? And then the background of this week, the background energy is go the distance. So we are still got a ways to work. So it's like committing and continuing through this process, especially spiritual growth, whatever growth you're doing, we haven't made the end yet. So it's like keeping that background energy that we're still working through a lot of these illusions, dissolving connections, all of those. Then the overall feeling is the never ending. So we might feel that we're really stuck, like as I was making an analogy of like certain places, like in Canada right now, where there's a lot of things repeating that look very much like 2020. And so a lot of people might feel, especially if that's kind of the energy you're in, that OMG, like, is that ever going to end? Are we ever going to be free from this cycle that we're repeating? So that's what a lot of people are going to feel. This is also that feeling like I've been here before. Like, does this cycle ever end? Am I not learning appropriately? So that's going to be kind of that outcome, and that's something for you to reflect on for sure. But however, we're recommended for this week is message in the bottle. So everything comes back to us connecting directly with the little bits of messages that are being spread to us by the divine, our guides, angels, gods, they're putting out the messages. We just have to be open to hearing them, and that's going to assist us because it's going to help put us in better alignment to making the best choices. So that everything thus far with each day does seem to very much overlap with it. Well, thank you, Nisha. I don't know if I'm good or not. I go with how I feel. So that would be, if that's going to be a super strength, it's how I feel, and being here to help heal and serve humanity using the unique gifts I have. And that is also, you bring up a good point of something I'm building on, and I want to mention halfway through here is I am working on a project. It is a chat that I am developing, which is all about getting, I'm going to again say it properly. The core features are divine guidance. So you get your cosmic energy of the day, movement, breath work, sound, recommendations, things that'll align with assisting you and how your energies and charts are. So it's very much, we're creating an app that is going to be very holistic with using all these different tools. If you do look on my bio, I list off a whole bunch of different things. It's going to get very much into that, and then we're going to build from there. So it's something that it does not exist. There is nobody else building it, and the world doesn't even know it means it's a tool that deep. But I am putting out, if this is some kind of project that when you're hearing this, even though I can't quite get it into the right detailed words you resonate with, do reach out with me, because I am looking for people that want to test and work with me programming this chat. And you can do that through my website if that is of interest. And please do like, share, and subscribe to stay up to date as I go through this process with that. Let's come back to our focus and get this video done. So we did Thursday, which is really that idea of the overall week energy, which is all that glitters not gold. We got true lovers reversed. There's an illusion. It doesn't look exactly the way it is. So we come to Friday, and the overall energy of Friday is, sometimes I wish these cards were a tiny bit smaller and easier to shuffle. I don't know if anybody has any tips for that. Fear. Okay, well, this is interesting because this is very much an underlying energy that is rampant in the consciousness, and anybody that's not even acknowledging it, they're just lying to themselves. There is lots of fear in the underlying consciousness, and this is, of course, an energy. So that's specifically saying Friday might bring a lot of fear, and that I feel like is very much connected to Thursday, which is whatever we're seeing is not clear and transparent, right? So Thursday, we've got that true lovers reversed. It's not as it seems. So are we going through a digestion of this veil illusion, all that glitters dissolving? And because of that, there's a massive amount of fear going on. And now, this I feel like is a really great point of a learning that I have gone through in my life, where fear only exists because we are missing information. When you have all the information, fear can't exist. So in fairness, you may not want an outcome. So if you have the information and you know that this is a specific outcome, but you don't like that outcome, you aren't necessarily fearing it. You're choosing to not do that because you know that's the outcome. There's less fear, unless you're really scared you're going to somehow trigger it, right? But then that's an unknown factor. That what unknown factor could connect you to that fear. So the learning is, as I summarize this up, is fear itself is actually the illusion because we're missing information. So I feel like that's really the underlying energy of Friday, is that there's some fear by whatever's been going on, that we're now, because we have a lot of unknowns, so we're feeling really uncomfortable. And this is now that time where we're going to have to look for filling in the spots that we have the unknown fear in. So what details are we missing of why we're fearful about this situation? Because as I was mentioning, fear only exists because we deep down know there's something we're missing, not seeing. There's an unknown factor at some level, right? So we think about like a horror movie, the fear is like, what's behind the next corner? You don't know. But you know someone's haunting you or stalking you, that's the right word, but the unknown of where they are is where that fear goes, right? If you knew they were behind that corner or you knew over here, there's no fear, right? So exists because there's something unknown. So when we come into Friday, the fear might be ramping up because the Thursday energy was this delusion, this melting of an illusion. What we look like that looked super great is not at all what it seems. And so by Friday, we might have that energy of fear because we don't have all the knowns, or we know we're missing something with it. So that's something to keep in mind with that energy. So let's continue and see what the energy brings on the Saturday. That is true. There is great. Oh, I definitely love the idea of going to India, and I resonate with a lot of that energy. The yogic background is my background. Okay. That is my spiritual background. Yoga brought me to spirituality. Yoga is the science of spirit and religion. It is the science. It's the base of it. So it's an interesting thing when you start going down that. Okay, Saturday. What does Saturday have in store for us? Okay, this might be a hard weekend because now, we've been in fear, and now it's like, oh, I wish this was way more positive. Seems, we've got the energy, kindred partnership, people upside down. So Saturday's energy is going to be definitely not feeling like we're connected, not feeling kindred, not feeling like we're buddy. There's going to be some kind of strain, and the energy would be reversed, right? So that it just doesn't feel like it's flowing. It's not a kindred. You're not matching up. That's going to be, unfortunately, what we're looking at Saturday. So just keep that in mind, because Saturday's energy has that. It doesn't mean that the situation isn't going to be different. So you might just be that you and your spouse or your friend or whatever, you always feel like you're kindred spirits and you're working together. Saturday might be the difficult time because you might be having a lot of problems within your relationships, miscommunications, because of these weird fears or these new unknowns being brought in. Maybe this is causing issues in relationships that you're having. The one Vedic astrologer that I followed that I was mentioning earlier had said that there was like something stirring with the energy, which would be today, the 10th of August. And that might be this outcome, is because of all the stirring financial she did bring up. So maybe by Saturday we're having issues with people that maybe we worked and we were in line with, because now it's like bringing up financial things on top of other things and showing what is not glittering gold. You know, so for each person, of course, this can be very different. Saturday's energy, it's not flowing. It's not flowing. Keep that in mind. Stay low. I would avoid anything really important with any type of friend, family, relationship that you care about. Just, it's not going to flow. It's not going to feel very in alignment on Saturday. Okay, Sunday till we meet again. So let's do Sunday. Okay, the last part of our message here. Till we meet again for the message. We're finishing off this week. So what I find wonderful actually is like, it is a cycle. This week is definitely a cycle, which we were talking about earlier. This is discovery. Intention. By the end of the week, you're going to see those little nuggets of discoveries, just like you did at the beginning of the week. There's something's going to appear, something you're going to discover, you're going to pull it out. It might be not that big, it might be a little small, but it's going to change everything. It's going to change. And starting this next week looks like that's a positive, right? So when we started at the beginning of the week, we discovered something, we were seeing things. Now by the end of the week, we're seeing more, we're discovering more. Again, it's still positive. Like I think whatever we're discovering is definitely adding, not taking away to it. Awesome. So that is live. Thank you so much for joining me. We're running a little bit late. If there is any questions, I will pull one card before I drop off. So if you have a specific question you'd like, I will pull you one card to tell you what the energy is about that. So I've got a Rachna. Hello. Nice to see you. Naila Shri. Saslia. Business growth success. Well, since you put out business growth success, let's pull a message. Hello. Let's pull a message on your business growth and success, and those that are watching right now. Like, let's put for everybody what your business growth and success energy is for this week. Again, we've had some caution, right? But we're going to discover at the beginning and the end of the week. So the beginning and end are going to be good. Just I've got some cautions when you go Thursday, Friday, Saturday, right? We just some things. But let's. Okay, this week I'm going to say is not the best week for that. We got events, commitment reversed. So if it was upright, great. If you're making some commitments this week with your business, that's a good sign. This is not a good week for commitments. It's not bad to keep discovering, because we had discovery at the beginning and the end of the week, especially at the end of the week. So you might determine something that's super important and great and going to assist your business. Not a good week for signing contracts, committing to anything. For, if you hear some good ideas, say they're great ideas, take them, note them, whether you have to write them down, put them in online on a digital calendar, whatever. Remember the ideas. Do not commit to anything, right? Relook at them as they come back up, or set to even just look at them next week, unless we hear otherwise. Because right now, don't commit to anything. So that is the message this week for everybody with your businesses is, take it. It's just not a week to commit. The energy is not positive with that. And then be open to hearing what we're seeing, and be mindful. If you come into Friday and you're feeling fearful, ask yourself a question. What is the information that we're maybe missing that you're fearful of? What is it? Is it that you're maybe missing? If it is financial, are you missing, like, where am I going to go financially, right? And if that's where that fear is, right? Where does that fear come from? And it's going to come from some unknown. So see if you can target that, and then send some breath. And we can always work. If you need help and you're looking for some breathwork ideas, reach out. Like I said, you can contact me through my website, and all of that is connected here on YouTube. So until next time, have a wonderful day. The light within me acknowledges and sees the light within you. And I will again talk to you soon, for sure next Sunday, if not before then. Have a great one.